Alright, so this, that, and then this goes to at least there. Let me think about the rest of that. Alright, so that's half the crab. And the inside is... it's kind of cramped. It's just like a stone cell, basically. All of that is solid. Now for the other side of the pincer. Right, all that has to be filled in. That down there. That down there. All the way in there. This should probably not be mossy cobblestone. I think this is going to be solid as well. Yeah, I'm just going to make that solid. And then like staircases up and down here. Most of that is solid. You have staircases going from this level down to that level, and this level is the entry level basically. Because there's the town there. So you got like staircase down, and then there's the station, and that's it. Most of this is solid and not actual space. Probably the diorite for floors on the inside as well. Did I fill everything in? Yes. So the Great War garrisons, they would like build entire towns. And the soldiers stationed at the Great Wall, they would basically live there. They would like farm the land nearby. They would like grow food nearby. They just live there. They just like build a town. Have farms, have livestock. And then when somebody invades, like they're also soldiers. So they're soldiers, and when they're not fighting, which is most of the time, because you know most of the time you're guarding, they'll be farming. Actually, what did the Roman legions do in their downtime? Did they have to farm? Or did they get food shipments? It seems extravagant if the legions actually got food delivered to them in peacetime. Did the Roman legions have to farm in their downtime as well? They probably did, right? What did Roman legions do when not at war? I mean, it says they were training. They built roads, forts, and aqueducts. So they did engineering. Where did they get their food from? Did they just buy from local farmers? Did they buy food? Did they grow food? Sustainability. Extensive logistics. The Roman Navy did a lot of transport, but I mean, a lot of the Roman Empire is not next to the sea, right? I mean, a lot of it is, but a lot of it also isn't. Forces were routinely supplied via fixed supply trains, and although Roman armies in enemy territory would often supplement or replace this by foraging for food or purchasing food locally, this was often insufficient for their needs. Oh, really? They transported food to them. Wild. Oh, that's good for them. You know what? Logistics, am I right? The Roman legions did not farm, although they built roads and other engineering works. So I guess they did other work when they're not fighting. And in exchange they were fed. Anyway, at times on the Great War in China, the soldiers also were farmers. They were basically because like the Great War, it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and there weren't really a lot of towns out that far. Right, like you have a whole lot of nothing, and then you have like nomads on the other side of the wall. And I guess in that situation it made more sense to just grow your own food while you're out there. I mean, they got supplied too, it's not like they rely completely on themselves, but they had to do their own farming, at least for some of their food. Well, but the Romans were right. They were kind of, their philosophy wasn't as defensive though as the Chinese. I mean, the Chinese quite happy to just stay behind their wall, not really push out too much. No, sometimes they invaded other people. A lot of the time, we were quite happy to just kind of stay behind the wall. Whereas the Roman legions were on campaign quite often, like literally out bashing people quite often. Maybe that makes a difference too, to how you conceive of logistics. Whether you are, you know, on the attack or on the defense. On the defense, certainly it wouldn't be surprising to grow your own food. The thing with transporting food is that back before there was a lot of food preservation technology, if it took you a long time to transport the food, by the time the food got there, it would have gone bad already. right? Right? There's no, if there's no like food preservation, and what do? Like salted meats, dried vegetables? Like it's not that great. I'm not sure that's entirely correct. I want to look this up maybe in my own time. How exactly did the Roman legions feed themselves? On campaign and also off campaign. Are they ever off campaign? Maybe they're never off campaign. Maybe this is always bashing somebody somewhere. This ends here. It's quite close to... I mean, it's right on the word, in fact. I guess that's fine. Alright, mossy stone bricks to there. Oops. Now, it's also low, right? It's also like that tall. Don't need the sign anymore. I kind of want an even smaller tunnel. Let me grab some stairs. Oops. Alright, we don't want a huge hole. But we do need a bit of a hole. Oops. What is that? Oh no, that's right. Fill that in. Maybe that can be not mossy. Alright, cool. And this ends there. I might just put a fancy color behind the word. What fancy color should I put behind the word? You have to be dark because the word is white. So in order to contrast with the white word, you have to be a dark background. And ultimately the whole effect is gonna be like dark, crowded, heavy. Like you're in an underground bunker. Which you kind of are. And like maybe we make it so that it tries to be a little bit decorative, but it doesn't take away the oppressive feeling of all the stone and weight. side to side. Back in ancient Greece. This is from the Peloponnesian War. If you want to read about it, you can read the Peloponnesian War, which was a contemporary account of the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta. Athens and her allies versus Sparta and her allies. And early on, it describes a basically established pattern of Sparta going on land raids and just like messing with the farms around Athens. Basically, they'll invade during like harvest season, and they'll just eat the food while they're there. It's like all the food is in the fields waiting to be harvested. They'll invade, scare away all the farmers, eat the food, mess around, burn a lot of stuff, and then when the food runs out, they'll go back home. I mean, it's kind of annoying. But basically, early on, it wasn't really that serious. Like, not that many people died in the old pattern of warfare in ancient Greece. And you know, in response, Athens would send their warships, because Athens had a decent navy, and Sparta has a decent army. And they'll send their warships and they'll raid all the coastal towns around Sparta. And they'll like grab the loot and then go back into their boats and run away, or sail away, as it were. That's kind of interesting, right? Like you like basically the Spartans were just eating other people's food, so they didn't have to eat their own food. They ate other people's food, and then when the food ran out, they went home. Interesting, right? What happens here? I think this actually just like merges into the landscape back here. That was the start of the Peloponnesian War. As the war dragged on, things got a lot more serious. A lot of like conquering cities, massacring the population, taking slaves, all of that stuff. So it got pretty ugly later on. But early on, it was just kind of fun and games. Early on, it was just like chasing away the farmers and eating their food. Later on, it got pretty nasty. Yeah, it turned out pretty bad later on. Alright, there, and then it just ends, it just kind of merges into the landscape there.